What is up, fellow nerds? We are talking about X-Men 97. And whoo, man, wow. This gosh, I don't even know where to begin with this one. A this was this was an episode. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of complained a little bit about the last one because I thought it was too goofy. I felt like they split it into parts that didn't make sense. They only gave us 10 minutes of the actual good story of
Yeah.
the last episode. And so I was sitting here thinking like, oh, okay, great. Now are the rest of the X-Men 97 episodes going to be terrible? And boy, did they prove me wrong with this week.
And
Wow.
and this week, speaking of we were speaking of the Bad Batch having a shorter runtime. This was what 36 minutes,
Yeah.
so it was extra long for them.
Mhm.
And not to jump to the end,
You're jumping to the end.
but freaking,
Hold
I
on, real
don't.
quick. Real quick. Spoiler warning, real quick, spoiler warning for this episode. If you did not watch this week's episode of X-Men 97, you gotta watch it. Please go watch it before we spoil how it ended because it was I think traumatic is a good word for it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I can't. Why can't I think of Gambit for crying out loud? Gambit, what a way to go! I mean, it's just he got his last lick in, you know, before he went out. But with all the X-Men comics that I've read,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always weird because you get into the different versions, not the uncanny. I was reading the Ultimate, and the Ultimate X-Men, Beast dies like in the second episode. I'm thinking, how did they kill Beast that soon? And it depends on which one you're reading. But
Yeah. Yep.
killing off Gambit here, is he going to come back? Or what's going to happen there?
It
Because,
would feel wrong to bring him back.
but the thing is, this is all included in the MCU. This is part of the MCU is one congruent storyline. That's what they said. They're all going to matter. So if
Yes,
you're never
but
going to bring,
he also specified in the multiverse. So this isn't necessarily happening in the same universe as,
this is
Iron
what
Man and, Spider-Man Homecoming.
I guess it wouldn't, but that would shoot down our theory about bringing them all in through, you know, the multi
No, it
dimension.
wouldn't shoot down the theory. It's happening in the larger MCM, Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. It's happening like on an alternate Earth where the X-Men were hanging out in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, but we had the theory that they were gonna bring them in somehow in
Yeah. But I think they're bringing in like the Fox X-Men, not the cartoon ones.
so this isn't gonna relate to the MCU as
I
we
don't
know it.
think so. No.
See, that would have more meaning for me. That's why I liked it because I thought it was all going to factor in somehow. But me with multiverses,
Yeah,
not my
yeah.
favorite thing.
I mean, I don't know how they would exactly pull that off because the animated version of the X-Men are more like their comic counterparts, more so than any of the movie versions of the Marvel characters are. They're over the top. They've got the thick pencil lines. They proudly say their made up names and everything. Like they wear their goofy costumes. I don't see them pulling these versions of the X-Men into the live action world. I just
And
don't know
hey,
how it would fit.
Wolverine got a little action from Jean Grey, so he had to be happy.
Yes,
Although he
he
didn't appear
did.
happy about
And
it.
okay, all right, hold up. I have notes. Give me one moment because I was gonna. Speaking of action, because I mentioned this in our previous episode, and I was nobody seemed to be as bothered by it as I was. But okay, Magneto. What do we know about his backstory? When and where did he discover his mutant powers? Do you remember?
Auschwitz.
Yeah, yeah. And that was in the 40s,
Yeah,
30s and 40s. Yeah, yeah. And he was already a teenager by that point.
I think he was like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
He's
So
still a youngster.
okay. So we've established that Magneto, alive during World War II.
Uh-huh.
Any guesses, roughly how old he would be during X-Men 97?
I would say he would probably be in his 70s.
You would be close. You are incredibly close. He is anywhere between 62 and 67 years old. And then we've got Rogue.
Yeah,
And they made it very clear that they've been getting down.
they had been intimate previously.
They have previously on X-Men.
But I mean, if he was alive in Auschwitz, World War II,
Yeah.
so was Wolverine.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Wolverine's even older than him.
Yeah, Wolverine was in those battles with Captain America.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, so I get that this happens in the comics as well, but like what were the writers thinking? Let's take these decrepit old, people that like never die because of their mutant powers and put them together with um barely adults.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't look like a barely adult on the show. She looks a lot old. Just imagine
Uh,
if he was having fun with Jubilee.
oh no, God, that'd be so friggin' wrong.
So she's got to be in her 30s. So there's got to be a 30-year gap there. I mean, just by the way
Who,
she's
Rogue?
here, Rogue. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, I'll be generous and say maybe she's in her 30s, but I don't know, man. I thought she was younger than Scott and Jean. I assumed Scott and Jean were in their 30s. I think Rogue is in her maybe mid 20s.
So he's like Hugh Hefner.
Sure, just with magnet powers and
Yeah.
no nudie mags.
That's why she likes him. She's attracted to him.
I see what you did there. Okay, all right.
Well, at least Gambit decided he didn't want to live without her. Oh,
Ooh.
too soon?
Uh, God, too soon. Um, I
I
can't wait
still
for
want
it
to see
to
the
see
Kite
that.
Man. Oh, we're tangenting again, but I still want to see the Kite Man show. That looks hilarious.
Yes. Oh, I know. I can't wait for that. Oh, it is. It's
But
gonna be.
anyway, back to the X-Men because
Yeah,
there is a lot to talk about.
there's a lot to talk about. So you already jumped to the end. So let's kind of let's Nightcrawler our way back to the beginning. Who?
Did he end up biting it too, Nightcrawler? I know he was injured by the end of it, but I don't know if he died.
I don't think he did. I think he was just injured. I don't know. The a person who did die, it was just so traumatic that it kind of I wasn't even paying attention about to everybody else because like oh that whole country was ruined. So okay,
It was not cool
again
what they did.
going back to the beginning, we'll get to what I want to talk about as far as what caused the destruction in a moment because I have thoughts on that.
And then you're gonna have words.
I will have words, but the reason why we're on Genosha is because the UN reached out to Magneto. They want him to essentially be the ruler of Genosha. I like how they phrase like he should be the king of Genosha. Like, why did they decide? Like, why did they suddenly decide this new budding nation of mutants needs a monarchy?
Right.
Like, what was the thought process? Like,
And
like
it's like you said, pick somebody who's so old that he's gonna have to pass it on really soon.
uh-huh. Well, maybe that was their point. Maybe they're like, okay, we're gonna start off with a king, but we're gonna pick a dude who's like super old. So maybe he'll only be king for maybe 10, 20 years at most.
And their plan was a lot less than that, obviously, by sending the Sentinels.
So I want to know who sent them.
I felt like they got set up, like they got them to all go to Genosha.
You think that's what you think the UN did this?
That's what I feel like.
So I
It's
wasn't
not.
I wasn't totally clear, and I thought that, by putting away Trask, I didn't think we'd still be seeing Sentinels. Like, I feel like they're overused at this point. They seem to be the only bad guys that they've got left in their pocket, other than Mr. Sinister and, what's the blob thing from the last episode? That barely counts. But it seems like it's always the Sentinels. It's their go-to for these for
Yeah,
the animated series, and eh, I think eventually they're going to lose their scary factor, their that makes them menacing, just
yeah,
because
they're
they're
ominousness.
almost overusing them. We've had 5 episodes, and they've been in, like, 3 or 4 of them
And
in some
yeah,
fashion.
and the ease with which they dispose of them when they do come in
Yeah.
contact with them, that isn't supposed to happen.
The world will never be the same again.
They're
Yeah.
supposed to be able to resist all of all of their various powers, and they're just chopping them
Yes.
down. So I'm like, well, they're not that menacing anymore if they're able to take them out like that.
As weird as this sounds, that was one thing that was one of the things I liked about the opening part of, um, X-Men Days of Future Past, when they were describing the Sentinels and they were showing off all of their abilities and how they had built them with mutant powers in mind.
Hmm.
Oh boy, did they seem deadly in that movie.
Yeah, they did a great job with that movie,
Mhm.
and the way Magneto takes control of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it right in that movie. They were menacing. They caused harm beforehand. They had to
Yep.
figure out what to do, and now they're just fighting them the normal way that they fight them, and they're still taking them out. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, they got to build up that. Well, maybe I missed something. I don't know. But Magneto, he is not. He's honoring. He still is. I don't know how long it's going to last, but he's still honoring um, Charles with with Charles's wishes. You
I feel
know,
like this event is going to be, the sentinel that broke the camel's back here.
yeah, yeah. I would run out of patience if I was Magneto as well. I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
we just talked. You said to go here and and set this up, get the
Mhm.
king, and then you attack us. What the hell's that about?
Now, if you're immediately thinking that's the case, I guarantee Magneto will too. He's probably going to jump to the same conclusion.
Yeah, and that's what's gonna. Well, I mean, Charles is gonna come back. He's gonna come back during the season or at the end.
I have no idea. I don't know what the plan is for that.
Yeah, whenever he comes back is when it's gonna be when Magneto is starting to go off the rails. You
Yeah,
know.
because they're still showing in the intro, they're still showing the X-Men going up against the Brotherhood. So it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that they foreshadowed that we all knew was going to happen anyway. They're not going to kill off Xavier,
Hmm.
this so be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, they of course they had the party with and it was kind of focused on Gambit the whole time because at the beginning he got his heart broken and then he played out. He still went to that party. I don't know if I would have went to the party after that happened with Rogue, but that's where he ended up meeting his maker.
Yeah, it's
I actually thought he was going to make it through when he had the metal stuck to him and he energized it.
I thought so too, but then he decided to go like, yeah, no, we're energizing this whole ass thing.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, you mean business? Which, again, going back to the first episode, how did he not kill Wolverine?
he was he tempered himself.
I guess, but that's something that I'm really, really loving about this animated series is they're showing these aren't the X-Men just starting out. They're pretty much at their full power levels. Like we're seeing Scott able to pull off a landing using his laser eyes, and we're able to see Gambit blow up a giant, Godzilla-sized Sentinel. I mean, and it's just crazy. And then we're eventually going to see Jubilee, full powered, based on the fact that we saw old Jubilee in the last episode. She's getting there, sooner rather than later.
Do you think that maybe that interview that Scott gave was the reason they sent the Sentinels?
Possibly. I don't know if the two are connected. I don't know if they're setting us up too. Like, I think this is kind of a red herring. I think the obvious answer is the UN, and I think that that's the conclusion that Scott will, or that Wolverine. Oh my god! I think the
Magneto?
conclusion that Magneto will jump to, and
Mhm.
I think he's going to do so without evidence. But I think he's also going to. Well, we just gave this interview and we weren't super kind, talking about um, uh, Homo sapiens. So therefore, this must be why. And I think that's what he's going to do, but I think it's going to turn out that it's somebody else behind the scenes, because as much as we make fun of some of the other MCU shows, this animated series is pretty clever. The writers, directors, the creators behind the series are huge comic fans. They've shown that
Mhm.
time and time again. That was one of the things that they wanted out of the original X-Men series, was the fact that they're like, no, we want every goofy element from the comics. We want it here. We want to do all the crazy weird stuff that you can't do anywhere else. And so I think they're clever enough to put a twist. I think they're going to say, "Oh yeah, you're going to think it's the UN, but actually."
And I like how they're keeping it light too. Like they're still
Yeah.
cracking their jokes. Only certain characters, though. You won't see Wolverine cracking a joke, but
Mhm.
the jokes are being cracked, and they are actually funny. So
Yes.
they're trying to, they're trying to keep it at a certain level. Don't get too serious with this. You know,
Now, what did you think about Cable showing up?
what I did I like it or not like it?
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked him showing up to save everybody. Here I am. You listen to me. I'm from the future. I know what's going to happen here. Everybody get out.
Now
I like
it seemed almost like he was disappointed, like it still didn't quite turn out the way that he had anticipated. So I wonder if he's still going to pull some more time travel shenanigans. Is he going to save the day? Is he going to stop the Sentinel in some way? Is he going to prevent Gambit from dying? Will this, because I think it should be permanent. That is my personal belief. I think the way that he went out in the heroic kind of manner, I think they should leave him dead. I don't think they should do any sort of weird time travel shenanigans to bring him back. But do you think it's a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, you saw Deadpool 2, right?
Yes.
I mean, they could do it. I don't, I'm with you though. I think that if you die in a show, it should mean something. It should
This
look
held
at,
meaning, like the whole internet was talking about this.
yeah. What was the sacrifice he made, and then if they just brought him back, it would cheapen the
Mhm.
whole thing.
Well, it wouldn't mean anything, wouldn't be worth anything, and at that point, they would basically be broadcasting, anyone can die at any time, and we can just bring them back whenever we want.
Right. It's just like who cares if they die? No
Mhm.
matter.
Now, the one thing, and I know I'm gonna get, flack for this, the one thing that annoyed me just slightly was Nightcrawler. But I get that's his character, that's how he always is.
Mhm.
I just don't like him. He's too hyper, man. He's just too all over the place. Again, I know that's how he is. That's how he always is portrayed. He's always poofing all over the place. He's always, like he just drank two bottles of Mountain Dew.
Yeah. He even shook hands with Magneto there.
Yeah, yeah. He gives zero shits.
Yeah, he's like, hey, and he's gone over here.
Right?
Yeah, he's always been like just a minor character to me. So
Yeah, yeah. So
I
let's
don't know
see.
what.
We talked about, let's make sure that we didn't miss anything. Talked about the reason why they were there in the first. Oh, we forgot to talk about the weird um, psychic nonsense between Scott and Jean. That was strange.
Oh yeah, where he thought
And Madeline.
they're both in his head.
Yeah. So you know what? I would cut Scott a little slack because, like, he didn't know. When Madeline was living with him and bearing his child and everything, like, so his what he said to Jean, "I love you both." I mean, yeah, of
It's
course he
true.
does.
Yeah,
He doesn't know. No one, none of them know how long he was with Madeline and how
yeah.
long he was with Jean.
And he thought
So
it was Jean, so she got to cut him some
yes,
slack.
she should, but she's all pissed at him, and he's like, "Look, man, like she's the mother of my kid. What do you want me to do? I'm not gonna cut her off,
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you be flattered someone someone loved you so much that they fell in love with your clone?
right?"
And
I,
then
I guess
Gene's
that's
out
like
there,
best case scenario, right?
yeah, right. And then Gene's out there making out with Wolverine.
Right? Yeah. So, like, come on. Maybe is that why she acted the way that she did? Do you think it was because she had her own guilt, so she was kind of like putting it on Scott?
No, I think she's too jumbled up right now to have any thoughts like that.
Hmm.
She's just probably all screwed up. And Wolverine kept her in check. Whoa, excuse me.
Yeah. We shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, even though that's what he wants, he's like, you know what, you're still with Scott. You just messed up for a minute. Or we want
Mhm.
to talk about this again.
Sierra says it's why she acted the way that she did.
Oh, so you watching it now, Sierra? That's cool.
It's a good series, right?
Yeah,
I I, I have been, I'd say, like I said, the only hiccup I think was last week so far, but every one of these episodes has been just fantastic.
yeah, they're good shows.
If you don't mind me borrowing your word for a moment.
Fan freaking tastic.
I haven't got into it yet.
But oh, she has seen some. Okay.
Okay. So you've seen like clips here and there. All right. Yeah, that, like I said, it's been all over the internet. It's kind of like blowing up right now. I you really should it's so good. It's so worth it, Sierra. You've got to. And I'm curious, what does Nysa think of it? Has he watched any of it?
Yeah, is he watching right now? He could pull out a palps for Doug. Sorry. You believe what? What do you believe? Oh, he hasn't seen it yet.
Oh
You guys
wow. Oh, he's got to watch it. You gotta both of you need to sit down, steal somebody's Disney Plus and check it out.
oh, she's on mine.
Okay, there you go.
Are we to the rating?
All right, good. Good.
They did. Here's a little tangent.
All right.
They did mention they're really anxious for us to get back to our anime Death Note, which is next. I almost thought
Yeah,
we had to
I'm
look at it.
I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. It has been a while since I watched Death Note, so
You
yeah.
gonna watch it with us?
Oh, yeah, I feel like I should because there are certain bits that I'm just not going to remember. With the first time that I watched the series was when I was still in the army, so over 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was the
So
first time that I watched the entire series, and I think I had was I watching them on a streaming platform or did I totally legally yo ho ho download them?
hmm.
I don't remember now. Oh, you know what? I think I might have watched them on. Was it Hulu? It might have been Hulu. I think it was. That was like where I was getting like a lot of anime at the time. There was like a lot of stuff that I was getting from. No, 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 no. iTunes. I forgot. I got them off of iTunes.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I had gotten I think I had gotten a warning letter from my ISP.
You've downloaded too much, sir.
No, I literally I had left a certain website running for too long, and they picked it up.
Oh,
And they sent me a very a sternly worded email and also
like,
a letter in the mail letting me know that if they caught me doing that again, that they would shut down my service.
was it BitTorrent or something like that? Pirates Bay.
It was a website that will go unnamed.
Okay. Well, I was walking through. Check this out. I was walking through Five Below the other day,
Yeah,
and I walked up, and on the shelf, on the dollar bookshelf, they had Attack on Titan.
really.
Yeah, it was a manga. I almost bought it because it was like mangas are all backwards,
Yeah.
and I was like, I opened it up, flipped through it a
Well,
little bit, and
backwards
I'm
to
like,
us.
nope. Yeah, and I just want to be surprised when I see it, so I didn't get it.
That's fair. They do change a couple of things between the manga and the show, so you would probably still be surprised. But yeah, still a good idea. Um, but yeah, I can't wait to watch Death Note again. I remember like the rough outline of it, but there are a couple of things that I don't fully remember. Like there's a good middle chunk where I won't give anything away, but the main bad guy has gone through so many hoops and loops to kind of like avoid being found out that like almost overcomplicates everything, and it creates this entire section of the anime where the police are essentially chasing the wrong person, and it's very convoluted, and I don't remember all the pieces that led to that.
We shall see together.
Yes, we shall. But yeah, it was a pretty good series. It was one of the first non-shonen anime that I had watched.
Shonen meaning.
Shonen meaning like the kind that me and Sierra have described, like your Dragon Ball Z, your Naruto, your One Piece, the things where it's essentially 12 minutes of actual episode, and the rest is last time on One Piece, next
Next
time on One Piece, out 1 minute and 30-second long intro song.
Yeah, I noticed that when she was binging it at my house. Uh, I just noticed it before we even talked about this stuff. I was like, these shows are
Mhm.
like 10 minutes long, but they're like fill up a half hour. They're
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. It can make it tough when you're binging it when they do that, but I guess it made more sense when they were showing it, week by week. It
Yeah, that
definitely
would
made
make
a lot more
sense.
sense because, like, if you're watching a bunch of anime, sometimes you're like, "Wait, what happened last time? Oh, good, they're letting me know. Thank you."
Right? They're letting me know in great detail. In fact, they're playing the.
In excruciating detail.
In fact, they're playing the entire last episode, right?
The 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 entire last episode was literally just two dudes screaming at each other, but they're gonna tell
Yeah,
me that that's what happened.
yeah. I like how like one episode is just all the trash talk before a fight.
Right.
That's all it is.
God.
Well, do you want to rate this episode there, Doug, or do we cover all the topics?
I think we did. Let me see here. Oh. Okay, so we talked about Magneto and the Magneto Gambit and Rogue going to Genosha. We talked about how they wanted to make Magneto the king, so that Genosha would have a leader that could represent them in the UN. We did not mention it, but I don't know. So we'll just say it real quick. Magneto wanted Rogue to be his queen.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that
I don't recall. Did she accept or not?
she did.
She did. Okay.
Yeah, that's what broke Gambit's heart.
Okay. So yeah. So Magneto asked Rogue to be his queen of Genosha. Then, while all of that was going down, Scott and Madeline had a little, mind to get together. Jean got upset about it. Then Cable came back from the past, and then Sentinels attacked, and
Gambit did it.
Gambit bit it.
Yeah.
But went out in style, man. Boy, he went out in style.
He took
If you're gonna go, oh, yeah. But Genosha's definitely ruined. So yeah, that place is trashed now. So what do you think is going to happen next? Other than the fact that Magneto is going to clearly probably start a war.
That's what I think. It's a natural next step. He's going to get revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know at what point Charles is going to come back, but he's going to come back and temper that revenge.
He's going to have to, because yeah, Magneto is going to. You were right when you said earlier that there's no way he's got that much patience. Like Charles would somehow still have the patience of a saint. Magneto will not.
No.
And I really think this is what's going to push him over the edge.
He's going to be like, I gave you a chance, and you effed it up, and here we come.
Now,
we're the next step in evolution, and you're going down.
Do you think this is a bit of a twisted potential theory? So rather than the obvious of it being of it turning out to be the UN behind it all, what if it was actually Magneto, because he was purposely trying to defy Charles and start his war, and he needed an excuse to do it?
I don't know. That would ruin his character development over the last few episodes. But at the same time, it would be within his character to do so.
I've been thinking about that. I thought about that back with the initial UN episode when he was raising them all up in the air, and I kept thinking about it. I'm like, do you think he actually set it up to where Storm would lose her powers? And I kept going back and forth with that one. I'm like, no, I don't think he did that. Because first off, he didn't take the opportunity to go back on his word. And he did seem truly broken up over the fact that that had happened. I don't see him allowing the use of a weapon like that would take away a mutant's powers. So that seemed a little too out of character. I thought about it for a minute. Now this time around, I'm starting to think it again. Is it within Magneto's character to use the weapons of his enemy and stage something in order to have an excuse? Would he pull a Bush and invade Iraq?
I think he would.
All of our younger audience is not going to know what we're talking about. What? I don't get the. Just Google it.
I don't get the reference here, sir. But I think that he's taking it this way because he's honoring Charles. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just playing a game in his head.
That's what I'm wondering.
Making everybody think that it's okay, and he's gonna now you're vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Now he can do that. It's completely within his character.
And maybe that'll be like his first decree as King of Genosha. We're going to war. I'm declaring war on the humans.
Of what used to be Genosha.
Yeah. God. Oh, that's so wrong. Yeah, what used to be Genosha. As he stands on the ashes of what used to be Gambit.
Yeah, and if he did it, let's say he did that, and he set that up, and then he not only got rid of Gambit in his competition with Rogue, but he made him go out a hero. Gambit go out a hero.
So yeah, now he's got one more story to add to it, to kind of bolster the troops. First off, we've got an enemy, and we have a hero.
Yeah,
it's the perfect story.
Do this in the name of Gambit.
Yes. Oh man. Oh, this fits too well.
Are they thinking the same thing we are?
I don't know. Oh boy. Oh man. Okay. Don't steal this from us either, Ryan Airy.
Yeah. Or new rock stars. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and start rating. What do you think?
I think that's a good call. Yeah, let's go ahead and rate this episode.
For all the reasons listed before, I don't even think I could talk in more detail than we already have. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 7.5.
You kind of faded out there. What did you say?
I didn't say anything important. What I
I
said
mean,
was,
I didn't hear your rating either.
oh, a 7.5
7.5. Okay.
because of all the things we had mentioned earlier, and
Mm-hmm.
like that theory that we just came up with at the end there. I like it. It's going places. It's going to get more dark as it goes on.
I think it will too.
So I'm going to stick with a 7.5. Where are you at?
I'm actually going to go much higher than you. I'm going to give this one a 9.5 because I think this episode was fantastic, fan-freaking-tastic. I think it was so much better. It was leagues better than last week's double episode, if you can call it that. I think it really just it added to the characters. It did like pretty much everything that we were praising the Bad Batch for. It added to our character development. It built up our world a little bit more. It gave us a bunch of new potential theories. It had a heart-shattering, traumatic moment at the end there. It was just really, really good. And the one tiny nitpick that I had was literally the Nightcrawler moment, and it's not even fair to call it a nitpick because it's just who he is, and I just don't like him personally. But everything else in this episode was too good. It was good. It was so good. So yeah, I got to give it a 9.5.
Well, I'm just going to guess that Keith would give it a 9.8, and we'll leave it there.
He probably would. Yeah, I could see that because he's usually even a little bit higher than me, and he does like to do those sort of like odd numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with the halves, but I won't go any farther than that
Same
because
with me. Yeah, I'll do halves.
it requires too much thought. If I have to break it down into tenths, then I don't know what I'm doing. What would differentiate a 9.7 from a 9.6? I don't know.
Right. All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of the two episodes that we were going to discuss during this live stream. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, we discussed in a previous episode The Bad Batch. Check that out if you haven't already. Let us know. But yeah, and then in this one was obviously the fantastic X-Men 97 episode. Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.